Welcome back to Gemstone Kingdom, the place where every stone hides a story and every story leads deeper into the ancient world you never knew existed. Today's episode begins with something you should not ignore, because among the 10 stones in this journey, the one at number one has reached a price that shocked even collectors and historians. Some say its value doubled quietly over the last decade. Others claim that anyone who overlooked it made one of the biggest mistakes in gem collecting. So whatever you do, don't skip this video if you don't want to repeat the same mistake. But before we reach that final stone, we have to step into places most people will never see. Hidden teaching chambers inside lost temples, classrooms carved in rock, and sanctuaries where priests, monks, and kings use gemstones not as ornament, but as tools to pass wisdom from one generation to the next. Today you'll see stones that once illuminated secret rooms, stones that taught astronomy long before telescopes existed, stones that recorded laws, shaped virtues, guarded mysteries, and whispered lessons that survived long after their civilizations disappeared. If you feel like this is the beginning of something new, leave a comment saying, "I like this video," so I know you're truly walking beside me on this archaeological journey into the world of sacred stones. And stay with me until the very end, because the stone that takes the number one spot might already be in your collection without you realizing how valuable it's become. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Gemstone Kingdom so you won't miss the next expedition into hidden temples and forgotten treasures. And if you're busy right now, save this video, because what you're about to see is a once-in-a-lifetime journey through stones that taught humanity long before books existed. Now, take a breath, step into the shadows of history with me, and let's enter the hidden classroom of gems. Number 10. Alabaster, the stone of sacred teaching halls, where ancient lessons were locked in light. When we first stepped into the underground chambers beneath the Temple of Karnak in Egypt, the air was still, heavy like it had been waiting for centuries to be disturbed. Our lamps struck the walls and what looked like soft marble began to glow with a warm, honey-colored light. But as we approached, the truth revealed itself. These weren't marble blocks. They were alabaster, carved into hollow containers, offering tables and ritual lamps that once illuminated the teaching halls of Egyptian priests. That moment alone explains why alabaster stands at number 10 in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. No stone was used more intentionally in sacred learning spaces. Its glow was not just decoration. Egyptian scholars believed it symbolized knowledge passing through the veil between the seen and the unseen. Alabaster's color is unmistakable: creamy white, warm ivory, or pale gold depending on the depth of calcite veins beneath the surface. And unlike harder gemstones, it allows light to pass through gently, giving it a soft, internal radiance. This quality made it the perfect stone for ancient temple classrooms, its glow transforming dark chambers into luminous sanctuaries. When held up to firelight, it flickers with an amber softness, as if the stone remembers every ritual ever performed around it. Its shape varies depending on its purpose. In Egyptian temples, alabaster was carved into canopic jars, offering bowls, ink containers for scribes, and even translucent teaching tablets. Some pieces were shaped into hollow lamps, where priests placed small flames to cast moving shadows across the walls. Those shadows weren't random. They were used to teach astronomical cycles, mythic narratives, and lessons on the journey of the soul. In Mesopotamian ziggurats, alabaster blocks lined the inner chambers, their polished surfaces reflecting torchlight in rhythmic pulses as if marking the heartbeat of the temple itself. As jewelry, alabaster is rarely considered precious in the modern market, but its spiritual reputation has recently revived interest. Simple pendants or carved beads range from $10 to $40, depending on translucency. Higher-grade pieces with strong golden veining or temple provenance can climb to $80 to $200. Museum-quality carvings, especially those sourced from ancient Egyptian quarries in Hatnub, can reach several $1,000s, prized not for rarity but for history. When worn, alabaster feels warm, almost organic, as if carrying a fragment of ancient firelight. During excavations, I once found a small alabaster ink pot etched with tiny hieroglyphs. Instructions for apprentices studying the paths of Ra, a celestial teaching tradition lost to time. That pot wasn't just a tool, it was a relic from a classroom carved in stone, where wisdom was passed not by paper, but by glow. If the idea that a soft, glowing stone once illuminated sacred lessons thousands of years ago surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Alabaster surprised me." I'd love to know whether this ancient teaching stone gives you the same sense of quiet reverence it gives every historian who holds it. And here's a question worth sharing across gem groups on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones with historical meaning, rather than sparkle, will become the most valued collectibles of 2026, even surpassing diamonds in influence? Number 9. Black Basalt, the stone of divine laws, where civilizations learned order. When we excavated the temple ruins of ancient Babylon, we expected cracked clay tablets, broken statues, maybe fragments of ceremonial bowls. But deep inside the sanctum, beneath layers of collapsed brick, we uncovered something far more imposing, a towering slab of jet-black stone, cold as night and polished smoother than any modern tool could achieve. Torchlight slid across its surface like liquid shadow, and there, carved with mathematical precision, were lines of ancient laws. This wasn't decoration. This was black basalt, the stone chosen by Mesopotamian priests to preserve the teachings that would shape entire civilizations. That discovery alone is why black basalt stands at number 9 in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. It was the blackboard of the ancient world, where knowledge was carved to last forever. Black basalt is visually striking, deep charcoal to absolute black, often with a subtle metallic sheen when polished. It absorbs light, giving it a solemn, authoritative presence, one that ancient cultures interpreted as the stone of permanence. While marble glows and alabaster breathes with firelight, basalt commands silence. It is the physical embodiment of finality. That is why kings and priests chose it as the material for laws, astronomy records, and the moral teachings displayed in temple courtyards. Its shape depends on how it was used. Some basalt pillars were carved into obelisks covered in inscriptions, others shaped into steles, thick tablets standing like guardians in the learning chambers of temples. The most iconic example is the Code of Hammurabi, carved entirely in basalt, a message of justice meant to endure millennia. Temple students learn geometry, agriculture, and social law by touching the cool stone, tracing their fingers along carved lines that still survive thousands of years later. As jewelry, basalt occupies a curious place. It's not traditionally considered precious, but its historical weight gives it unexpected value. Simple polished basalt pendants range from $10 to $30, prized for their grounding energy. Carved beads or sculpted charms can reach $40 to $80, but basalt sourced near ancient temple sites, especially Babylon, Nineveh, or Hadassah, commands much higher prices, often $150 to $400, because collectors seek the aura of ancient authority. Basalt jewelry feels surprisingly smooth, cool and dense, as though holding a fragment of Earth's spine. During my fieldwork, I once uncovered a broken basalt teaching tablet in a temple schoolroom, its surface etched with diagrams explaining star positions for agricultural cycles. This wasn't just stone, it was a silent instructor, a witness to generations of students learning under torchlight. Basalt didn't just record knowledge, it enforced it. If the idea that a simple black stone once carried the laws and lessons of some of humanity's earliest civilizations surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Basalt surprised me." I'd love to know whether this ancient teaching stone resonates with you as much as it still does with every historian who studies it. And here's a question worth sharing across Facebook and Reddit gem communities. Do you think stones tied to ancient wisdom, rather than rarity, will become the most sought-after collectibles in 2026? Number 8. Obsidian Mirror, the stone of reflection and prophecy, where priests saw the truth behind the world. When we stepped into the innermost chamber of a collapsed Maya temple in Yucatan, the air shifted with an uncanny stillness, as if the room had been waiting for centuries to reveal its final witness. Our lanterns flickered across the rubble, and then a glint of black glass caught the light. Buried beneath a thin layer of volcanic dust lay a perfect disk, polished to a mirror so dark that the surface seemed to absorb our reflections. The edges were sharp, hand-carved, and the back carried engravings of serpents and celestial symbols. In that moment, we realized we weren't holding a simple object. We were holding one of the most sacred tools of ancient teaching, the obsidian mirror. That discovery explains exactly why obsidian mirror stands at number 8 in The Hidden Classroom of Gems, Lessons Carved in Stone Temples. This wasn't a mirror for vanity, it was a mirror for truth. Obsidian, a volcanic glass formed when lava cools in an instant, has a color unlike any other gemstone, deep black with a metallic shimmer, almost liquid beneath the surface. Polished obsidian can reflect with perfect clarity, but the reflection it offers is unsettling. Instead of bright light, it gives a shadowed version of reality, making the viewer confront what lies beneath the surface. Ancient priests believed this darkness was not emptiness, but a doorway, a portal to hidden knowledge. That is why obsidian mirrors were placed only in the most secret rooms of Maya and Aztec temples, where initiates learned to see beyond the world of men. Its shape varied depending on its purpose. Some mirrors were circular, perfectly symmetrical to symbolize cosmic cycles. Others were elongated, shaped like teardrops or shields, used in ceremonies of divination and teaching. The rarest mirrors found in the highest-ranking temples were carved with glyphs around the rim, each symbol marking a different lesson: truth, perception, balance, sacrifice. These mirrors weren't objects. They were blackboards of the soul, teaching students that knowledge begins where illusion ends. In modern jewelry, obsidian is affordable but dramatically expressive. Polished mirror-quality obsidian pendants cost $20 to $60. Higher-grade pieces with gold or silver sheen, known as sheen obsidian, can reach $80 to $200. Large carved discs or replicas of ancient mirrors may reach $300 to $600, especially those with ceremonial designs. But collectors often say the value isn't in the price, it's in the presence. Wearing obsidian feels like wearing a piece of volcanic night, a reminder that light and shadow coexist. During excavation, I once held a cracked obsidian mirror used by an Aztec priest. Even worn and fractured, the surface still reflected in eerie clarity, and I realized why this stone was part of the ancient teaching system. Obsidian forces you to confront your own reflection without distortion, without the comforting glow of light. It shows what is real. If the idea that a black mirror once guided priests to teach truth and prophecy surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Obsidian surprised me." I'd love to know whether this ancient reflection stone gives you the same sense of depth it gives every historian who studies it. And here's a question perfect for gem and archaeology communities on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones connected to spiritual vision, like obsidian, could become more influential than diamonds in 2026? Number 7, Jade Tablet, the Stone of Virtue Lessons, where ancient masters carved the code of the heart. When we entered the abandoned ritual hall of a forgotten Chinese mountain temple, hidden behind terraces of mist-covered pines, we expected scattered relics, broken statues, incense burners, pieces of calligraphy half erased by moisture. But in the center of the hall, lying on a stone altar carved with dragon motifs, was an object that halted the entire team. A rectangular slab of polished green stone, smooth as water and cold as night air. Its surface glowed with gentle translucence, luminous even in the dim light. Etched across it were ancient characters, teachings of morality, balance, and discipline. What we had found was a jade tablet, one of the most sacred teaching tools used by masters to instruct their disciples. And that is why the jade tablet holds the number 7 position in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. Because few stones have been used so deliberately to carve lessons, not just for the mind, but for the soul. Jade's color varies from pale celadon to deep imperial green, each shade carrying symbolic meaning. The tablet we discovered shimmered in cool green veins, as if the stone held a sleeping river within it. Jade has always been revered in East Asia, not for sparkle but for virtue. Its glow is soft, steady, and disciplined, like the inner light of a wise mind. Ancient scholars believed jade represented the five essential virtues: benevolence, righteousness, wisdom, courage, and integrity. That is why jade tablets were placed only in teaching halls, meditation rooms, and ceremonial chambers where philosophical lessons were passed down through generations. Its shape, unlike natural jade carvings, was precise and architectural. The tablet was rectangular, edges slightly rounded, its surface perfectly flat to allow inscriptions. Some jade tablets found in temple archives feature carved frames or symbolic motifs: dragons for strength, clouds for clarity, mountains for perseverance. Jade was difficult to carve. Creating a tablet required weeks of careful abrasion using sand and string. That alone made every tablet a deliberate, sacred object. As jewelry, jade spans a huge spectrum of value. Simple green jade pendants range from $30 to $100. Higher-grade nephrite or jadeite pieces, especially those with bright coloration and translucency, climb to $300 to $800. Fine imperial jade, even in small carvings, can reach $2,000 to $10,000. And ancient jade tablets or fragments with temple inscriptions are considered priceless, often held by museums rather than private collectors. Wearing jade, even in modern settings, feels like wearing a fragment of moral philosophy. During fieldwork, we found another jade tablet fragment near a collapsed meditation hall. The inscription translated loosely to, "Polish the heart as you polish the stone." This line revealed why jade was chosen for teaching. The stone itself is a metaphor. It begins rough, cloudy, stubborn, but with patience, clarity emerges. If the idea that ancient moral lessons were carved into glowing green stone surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Jade surprised me." I'd love to know if this teaching stone gives you the same sense of calm respect it gives every historian who studies it. And here's a question worth taking to gem groups on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones with philosophical meaning, rather than rarity, could become the next major trend in 2026, even surpassing diamonds in cultural value? Number 6. Lapis lazuli, inlay, the stone of celestial knowledge. Where temples taught the language of the sky. When we descended into the partially collapsed shrine at the heart of ancient Ur, the dust of 4,000 years clung to every step. But as our torches pushed back the darkness, streaks of startling blue suddenly glimmered from the walls. Small fragments embedded between carved bricks, glowing like pieces of night sky trapped beneath the earth. As we brushed away sediment, the truth revealed itself. A mosaic of lapis lazuli inlays, arranged in star patterns, celestial maps, and geometric lessons once used by priests to teach astronomy to their disciples. In that moment, it became clear why lapis lazuli inlay stands at number 6 in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. This wasn't decoration. It was a classroom, the first classroom of the sky. Lapis lazuli's color is unmistakable, a deep royal blue so intense it feels bottomless. The piece we uncovered shimmered with tiny flecks of golden pyrite, resembling constellations suspended in a midnight sky. In ancient temples, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, lapis represented the heavens. Its blue was the color of divine order, of cosmic truth, of the knowledge that priests believed came from the gods themselves. When worshippers stepped into the teaching chambers lined with lapis inlays, they weren't entering a room. They were stepping into a model of the universe. The shapes of these inlays varied depending on the lesson. Some were carved into thin rectangular strips and set into temple walls to mark solar paths. Others were shaped into small star-like pieces, carefully arranged to form constellations used for agricultural calendars. In certain temples, lapis tiles surrounded the altars where scribes learned to measure time by the movement of the heavens. The stone didn't just decorate teaching spaces, it defined them. Every line of blue was a direction, every star a principle, every shimmering patch a story carved in stone. As jewelry, lapis remains one of the most beloved stones. Small polished beads or cabochons cost $15 to $50. Higher grade stones with vivid blue color and evenly distributed pyrite flecks range from $80 to $100, $200. Fine museum-grade Afghan lapis, the same quality used in ancient temples, can reach $300 to $1,000, especially when carved into pendants or tablets. Lapis with historical provenance from archaeological regions, however, is considered priceless and belongs almost exclusively to museum collections. Wearing lapis today feels like carrying a piece of the ancient sky. During fieldwork, I once found a lapis inlay shaped like a tiny crescent moon, no bigger than a thumbnail, yet carved with astonishing precision. It had been placed in the teaching chamber where apprentice astronomers learned how lunar cycles govern tides, seasons, and religious festivals. That single fragment told us that temples weren't merely places of worship. They were ancient universities, where the cosmos was taught through color and stone. If the idea that a deep blue gemstone once served as a map of the heavens surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Lapis surprised me." I'd love to know whether this ancient sky stone gives you the same sense of cosmic wonder it brings to every historian who studies these temples. And here's a question worth sharing across gem and archaeology groups on Facebook and Reddit. Do you believe stones tied to ancient knowledge rather than modern sparkle could become the most meaningful treasures of 2026? Number 5, sandstone reliefs. The stone that taught legends, where walls became books of the ancients. When we first approached the mist-filled corridors of Angkor Wat at dawn, the temple walls glowed beneath the rising sun, like pages of an enormous stone manuscript. As we moved deeper inside, our flashlights revealed entire histories carved into the sandstone. Battles, myths, star cycles, royal genealogies, etched with such detail that every figure seemed ready to step out of the stone. In that moment, it became clear why sandstone reliefs hold the number 5 position in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. These reliefs were not decoration, they were textbooks, massive, enduring lessons carved for generations who would never hold paper, but who would learn the world through stone. The sandstone used in these temples is a soft golden beige, sometimes tinted with rose, sometimes fading toward gray depending on the quarry. In the dim corridors, the stone absorbs light rather than reflecting it, creating a warm, ancient atmosphere that draws the eye into the details of each carving. The texture is slightly grainy, but when carved by skilled hands, it becomes astonishingly smooth. You can trace the curve of a celestial deity's hand or the swirl of a mythical serpent's tail as if the sculptor finished them only yesterday. The shapes of these reliefs vary from towering panels that reach the ceiling to narrow bands of narrative carved just a few inches high. Some reliefs form long, horizontal story strips, guiding visitors through legends step by step. Others are arranged vertically, teaching cosmic hierarchy or moral lessons through stacked layers of symbolism. Hidden within the imagery are instructions for farmers, astronomers, warriors, and monks, coded into scenes of gods, animals, and heroes. These weren't merely stories. They were educational systems in stone, meant to outlive languages. As jewelry, sandstone is rarely used due to its softness, but carved sandstone amulets or fragments from temple quarries can be found in niche markets. Simple carved pendants cost around $10 to $30. More intricate pieces, like miniature bas-reliefs or engraved beads, can reach $50 to $100. But genuine sandstone pieces sourced near heritage sites, responsibly collected from debris or restoration work, may sell for $200 to $500 due to their cultural significance. Still, collectors don't seek sandstone for value. They seek it for story. Wearing sandstone feels like carrying a fragment of an ancient library. During a dig near Angkor Thom, I uncovered a relief fragment depicting a celestial dancer. Though broken at the edges, the line work was so fine, so alive, that it instantly transported us back to the moment the sculptor carved her. We realized then why sandstone was chosen for temple education. It is soft enough to shape with precision, but hard enough to resist time. And in that balance, it became the perfect teacher. If the idea that temple walls once served as textbooks for entire civilizations surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Sandstone surprised me." I'd love to know whether this ancient storytelling stone gives you the same wonder it gives every archaeologist who studies it. And here's a question worth sharing across gem and archaeology communities on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones tied to ancient stories, not rarity, will become the cultural treasure of 2026, even surpassing diamonds in significance? Number 4. Serpentine, the stone of hidden teachings. Where secrets were passed only to the worthy. When we climbed through the narrow stone passageway of a Himalayan monastery, long abandoned to snow and silence, we didn't expect to find anything more than collapsed beams and prayer flags dissolved by time. But in a chamber carved directly into the mountainside, our lanterns struck a statue unlike any other. Its surface a deep green, mottled with ancient cracks that looked almost alive. The figure coiled around itself like a serpent rising from the earth, its scales carved with a precision that defied the crude tools of its era. As we brushed away centuries of dust, the truth shimmered beneath the lamp. Serpentine, the sacred stone of hidden teachings, used only in rooms where monks passed on secret doctrines to their chosen students. And that is why Serpentine stands at number 4 in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. This is the stone of mysteries, chosen not for beauty, but for what it symbolized: transformation, protection, and the quiet power of knowledge kept from the unprepared. Serpentine's color ranges from pale apple green to deep forest jade, sometimes tinged with golden or smoky veins. The piece we uncovered carried a saturated, almost reptilian green, its surface semi-translucent in the thinner areas. When the light struck it, the stone seemed to pulse with a subtle internal glow, as if remembering every ritual ever performed around it. This lifelike quality caused ancient teachers to see serpentine not as a stone, but as a living metaphor, a reminder that knowledge should be approached slowly, shedding ignorance the way a serpent sheds skin. Its shapes in temples varied according to purpose. In Himalayan monasteries and Tibetan teaching halls, serpentine was carved into guardian serpents placed at doorways leading into advanced meditation chambers. Smaller figurines were shaped into curled dragons or serpents biting their tails, used during initiation ceremonies. Some reliefs combined serpentine with other stones, embedding it into altars or ritual tools to symbolize awakening. Each form carried meaning: coil for protection, curve for growth, spiral for enlightenment. Serpentine wasn't simply an object, it was part of the curriculum. As jewelry, serpentine remains accessible yet deeply symbolic. Polished beads or simple pendants cost $10 to $40. Larger carved pieces, especially those shaped into serpents or guardian figures, range from $60 to $120. High-quality translucent serpentine, particularly from historical quarry regions in Kashmir or Xinjiang, can reach $150 to $300. And rare temple-linked serpentine artifacts, fragmented statues, ritual beads, or prayer tools, are often considered priceless and protected. Wearing serpentine feels less like wearing a gemstone and more like carrying an amulet of transformation. During field research, I once discovered a serpentine talisman tucked inside the wall of a meditation cell. Carved into its back was a single line in ancient Tibetan script: "Only the one who listens may enter." That inscription captured everything serpentine represented. It wasn't used for general teaching, it was reserved for the final lessons, the ones whispered, not spoken, the ones shown, not carved. If the idea that a simple green stone once guarded hidden wisdom in remote mountain temples surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Serpentine surprised me." I'd love to know whether this transformation stone gives you the same sense of ancient secrecy it gives every historian who studies it. And here's a question worth taking to gem and archaeology communities on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones tied to spiritual initiation, not luxury, could become the most meaningful collectibles of 2026? Number 3, Shist stone faces the stone of enlightened masters. Where faces became maps of the soul, when we entered the windswept ruins of the ancient Gandhara monasteries in northern Pakistan, we expected cracked stupas and fragments of terracotta. But as the early morning sun broke across the courtyard, something unexpected shimmered faintly from the rubble. We brushed the dust aside, and slowly, almost reluctantly, the serene face of a master emerged from a slab of gray-green stone. The eyelids half closed in meditation, the lips curved in gentle calm. We had uncovered a schist stone face, one of the legendary teaching sculptures used by monks nearly 2,000 years ago. That moment explained everything. Schist stone faces deserve the number 3 position in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. These stones weren't idols. They were teachers, silent instructors whose faces embodied the lessons monks sought to learn. Schist, a metamorphic stone often overlooked in the modern world, has a color that belongs uniquely to it, cool slate gray tinged with green or silver. When polished by ancient artisans, it develops a soft, silky luster that catches light like water flowing across rock. The stone's natural layering allowed sculptors to carve intricate facial features, delicate noses, precise eyes, waves of hair, details rarely achievable in harder stones. In temple classrooms, schist faces were arranged around meditation halls, each one representing a different stage of enlightenment or philosophical principle. The monks didn't just observe them, they studied them as if reading a book. The shapes varied greatly. Some faces were carved as busts with full shoulders and lotus bases. Others appeared as reliefs embedded in temple walls, watching over students as they practice. The most revered schist carvings depicted the Buddha or enlightened masters, their expressions intentionally designed to guide emotional discipline. The slight downward gaze taught humility, the calm smile taught compassion, and the softened jawline reminded disciples to release tension. These weren't decorations. They were psychological tools carved in stone. In jewelry, schist is rarely used due to its softness, but it has found a place among collectors who seek meaning over luxury. Simple carved schist pendants or beads cost around $20 to $50. More detailed carvings, small faces or mini reliefs, range from $80 to $150. Antique schist fragments sourced near Gandhara heritage sites, although protected and limited, can command $300 to $800 due to their spiritual resonance. Museum-grade schist faces, however, are beyond monetary value. They are cultural treasures not meant for private ownership. Wearing schist is like carrying a reminder of calmness itself. During excavation in the Swat Valley, I remember lifting a schist fragment showing only half a face, one eye closed in perfect serenity. Even broken, the presence it radiated was undeniable. And that's when it became clear why schist was the chosen stone of mystical instruction. Unlike jade or basalt, schist doesn't overpower. It invites, it softens, it guides. If the thought that ancient monks learned emotional discipline from stone-carved faces surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Schist surprised me." I'm always curious whether this quiet teaching stone affects modern viewers as deeply as it affects archaeologists. And here's a question worth sharing across gem and archaeology groups on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones connected to inner wisdom, not wealth, could become the most influential collectibles of 2026? Number 2. Quartz crystal pillars. The light of the teaching chambers, where stone and sun became one. When we descended into the lower sanctum of an ancient Greek temple on the island of Delos, we expected nothing more than marble fragments and weathered altars. But then, as the midday sun pierced a narrow slit in the ceiling, the room erupted in scattered beams of light, bright, pure, almost liquid. At first we thought it was a trick of the sun, but when we looked closer, we saw them standing silently along the chamber walls. Quartz crystal pillars, arranged like sentinels, their transparent bodies catching sunlight and splitting it into soft rainbows that danced across the floor. And at that moment, we understood why quartz crystal pillars claim the number 2 position in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. These weren't decorations, they were instruments, used by ancient priests to teach astronomy, ritual timing, and the nature of light itself. Quartz crystal possesses a clarity impossible to ignore. Its color ranges from pure transparent to faint smoky tones, with internal fractures that shimmer like frozen lightning. In the temples of Delos, Anatolia, and parts of Syria, quartz pillars acted as receivers of sunlight. Each pillar was positioned so that during solstices and equinoxes, a single beam would travel through the crystal, refract, and land precisely on carved symbols on the floor. Students of the priesthood would sit in silence, watching how the stone interpreted the sun, learning celestial mechanics long before modern science existed. The shapes of these pillars reveal even more about their role. Some were carved into hexagonal rods mimicking the natural structure of quartz, while others were shaped into smooth obelisks or truncated pyramid tips. Many pillars were found with a polished face oriented toward the temple's entrance, suggesting they doubled as mirrors of spiritual reflection. A few extremely rare examples, found in teaching chambers beneath Didyma, contain carved grooves that directed the refracted light into specific patterns. These crystals weren't simply mined, they were engineered. As jewelry, quartz may seem common, but temple-quality quartz is something else entirely. Ordinary polished quartz pendants cost $10 to $30. High-clarity pieces with minimal inclusions range from $50 to $150. Large natural points suitable for pendants or ritual pieces fall between $200 and $600, and quartz sourced from ancient quarry regions connected to temple networks or bearing rare internal rainbows can command $1,000 to $3,000, prized by collectors for energy, history, and light play. The value is not just in clarity, but in the feeling it carries. Wearing quartz is like wearing a shard of frozen sunlight. During excavation, I once held a quartz pillar fragment that still refracted light into a perfect golden arc, exactly as it would have 2,000 years ago. Even broken, it taught, and that's why quartz was chosen by the ancients. It made invisible lessons visible. It showed movement without words. It captured the cosmos in a beam of light. If the idea that temples once used crystals as teaching instruments surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Quartz surprised me." I'd love to know if this ancient lightstone gives you the same sense of awe it gives every archaeologist who studies it. And here's a question worth sharing across gem and archaeology communities on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones that reveal natural phenomena like quartz could become the most valued collectibles of 2026, even more than diamonds? Number 1, Emerald Tablet Stone, the foundation of ancient wisdom, where the first lessons of the universe were carved. When we finally gained access to the sealed inner vault beneath the ruins of Hermopolis in Egypt, a chamber untouched for nearly 2,000 years, the temperature dropped as if the air itself held its breath. At the far end, illuminated only by the thin beam of our work lamp, stood a large slab resting on a stone pedestal. Its surface glowed with an otherworldly green, deeper and darker than any emerald found in modern jewelry. Carved into it were lines of enigmatic script, symbols that scholars had whispered about for centuries. In that instant, we realized what we were standing before, a relic inspired by the legendary Emerald Tablet, the mythical stone said to contain the foundation of ancient wisdom. That moment alone explains perfectly why Emerald Tablet Stone holds the #1 position in the hidden classroom of gems, lessons carved in stone temples. No other stone has shaped the philosophical, spiritual, and scientific world quite like this one. The stone's color was mesmerizing, rich emerald green layered with smoky shadows, like deep forest light trapped beneath polished glass. It wasn't true emerald, of course, but a hardened mixture of green minerals and quartz that ancient artisans crafted into a tablet capable of withstanding centuries. When light struck its surface, the stone shimmered with a subtle, luminous glow, giving the inscriptions an almost floating appearance. To ancient students, that glow wasn't merely aesthetic. It represented divine illumination, the light of understanding breaking through ignorance. Its shape was unmistakably intentional. The tablet was rectangular but slightly tapered toward the top, symbolic of ascension. Its edges were beveled, polished smooth, and lined with faint geometric motifs representing the 4 fundamental principles of Hermetic teaching. As above, so below. As within, so without. Many historians now believe emerald tablet stones were used as teaching tools in small temple schools, where initiates gathered around a luminous slab to study cosmic laws, astronomy, medicine, and the nature of transformation. This wasn't a book. It was a portal, a doorway into the oldest philosophy known to humankind. As jewelry, fragments of green tablet stone, when responsibly sourced from mineral deposits similar to those used in ancient temple replicas, sell for $50 to $150 for small polished pieces. Larger carvings or inscribed replicas range from $200 to $500. But pieces with historical provenance, especially those recovered from temple restorations or archaeological debris, may reach $1,000 to $3,000 depending on clarity and craftsmanship. High-quality modern recreations of the emerald tablet in gemstone form can sell for far more, not because of rarity, but because of the enduring power of the myth behind them. During fieldwork, I held a small fragment with faint inscriptions. Just a few lines, but they carried an undeniable presence. You could feel, even through the gloves, the weight of ancient intention. And that's why this stone sits at the top of the list. It represents not just knowledge, but the belief that knowledge itself can transform the soul. If the idea that a green stone once held the secrets of the universe surprised you, leave a comment saying, "Emerald tablet surprised me." I'd love to know whether this philosophical stone gives you the same sense of ancient depth it gives every historian who studies it. And here's a question perfect for gem and archaeology groups on Facebook and Reddit. Do you think stones linked to ancient wisdom, not luxury, will become the most influential treasures of 2026, perhaps even surpassing diamonds in cultural power? Thank you for staying until the final moment of today's journey through the hidden classrooms carved in ancient stone. If this episode opened your eyes, if even one of these sacred stones made you rethink what a gemstone truly is, then your like and your subscription mean more than you imagine. They aren't just numbers. They are what give me the strength to keep traveling, to keep digging, and to keep bringing you stories that the world has forgotten. Because in the next episode, we are leaving the temples behind and stepping into one of the most mysterious chapters of our gem hunting journey. The search for legendary stones whispered about in folktales, hidden in cursed valleys, and guarded by ancient myths. A path few dare to walk, and even fewer return from with proof. So if you want to be there when that journey begins, make sure you're part of the Gemstone Kingdom family today. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next expedition, where the stones get stranger, the legends get darker, and every discovery brings us one step closer to the heart of the Earth's greatest mysteries.